What's up, everybody? So, welcome to another episode, Season of the Jungle. Today, I have with me my guy Kev. I met Kev off TikTok, and both of us got into TikTok because of our daughters, just making stupid videos with them, kind of for a laugh, something to do with them. And from there, we got onto Trucker Talk. And Kev, he's amassed a pretty decent following of about 54,000 people. I was on his page prowling around earlier too, and he's got something like 600,000 likes, 54,000 followers. He's big on Trucker Talk. Anytime I'm ever having a rough go at it out on the road, I always pop over to his page for a good laugh. But without further ado, guys, this is Kev. We're going to get into Kev's story here in a minute. So, Kev, why don't you just tell everybody real quick who you are, say hi to everybody, and go from there.
What's up, everybody? Obviously, my name's Kev. I'm a truck driver, slash TikToker, as he just mentioned. But no, I'm a truck driver, man. I used to be into another type of lifestyle that I guess we're gonna get into in a little bit. But yeah, that's it. I'm Kev, man. I really don't know what else to say to that. Turn my radio down real quick.
Well, I'm glad I got you on here, man. I've been wanting to have you on because I want to. I'm like a firm believer in truck driving for guys with criminal records. Is a great lifestyle. I mean, we're already conditioned to that small living quarters.
Oh yeah,
we're used to dealing with I mean, we could be by ourselves for days on end at a time, and so I've always been a big advocate and always push guys that have felonies that are kind of having a rough go at finding their path to get into truck driving. So
yeah.
why don't you real quick just briefly tell everybody, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Kind of what was your childhood like?
So I grew up. I was born in Los Angeles at the USC Medical Center. I grew up in South Central, South LA, for about half my life, and then my family moved to. It was my mom and my stepdad. Moved to Palmdale, which is about almost an hour away, an hour north of LA, trying to get away from all of the shit that we were pretty much in living in South LA. So we moved there. I grew up with my mom and my stepdad. My stepdad would been in my life since I was probably, I want to say, about 3. Because my real dad, he killed himself when I was 9. And I resented my mom a lot for that until I just found out that that was bad. It wasn't really her fault. She had something to do with it, but he was a Vietnam vet, and he killed himself due to a mix of that and other situations in his life, like the IRS was after him, and he was one of those guys that felt I don't have to pay taxes and all of that shit, like which I feel that way too. But hey, that shit will lead you down a path that you don't want to go, and it'll just make shit worse. So there's a few things, like people say, that are guaranteed in life, and that's one of them. So him being a
Okay.
Vietnam vet and not paying his taxes, kind of, he got shot like I think 7 or 8 times in Vietnam, so he was pretty fucked up. So that combination of the IRS coming after him, my mom coming after him, and that Vietnam situation caused him to commit suicide when I was 9. So when we were 9, we left Los Angeles. We're still in Los Angeles. We moved to Van Nuys for a little bit, and we were just surrounded by a bunch of the same type of shit, just a whole lot of Mexicans doing that shit because I'm half black. So I grew up with mainly the black side of my family, and so we went from black ghetto urban ass bullshit ass area to Van Nuys, which is a Mexican urban ghetto ass bullshit ass area. So he was like, fuck that, we're gonna move to fucking Palmdale, which was better. It was a better environment for the most part until everybody started moving up there. But at that point in time, like when I was 9, after my dad died, after he killed himself, I started turning like to the streets pretty much because I resented my stepdad. I didn't like my stepdad at all. Um, Now, after having talked to him after I've grown up, though, I realized that, man, all dude was trying to do was just, he was hard, right? He was fucking hard on me. But as I realized, he also told me, he was like, I made a lot of mistakes with you because I only had a daughter. I didn't know how to raise a son, you know, and on top of that, you weren't biologically mine, so I probably took out a little bit more anger or did things I did a lot of things that I regretted. So we, you know, we're like this now, you know, because partly because I've grown up and I've realized that hey, raising boys is not easy, you know.
No.
Yeah, it's not. Like I got 3 boys, so it's not fucking easy, man. They're little terrorizers, but all you
Well,
can do is do your best.
raising kids in general isn't easy, dude. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
boys will give you a run for the money. I lucked out. My boy's not my troublemaker. My daughter's my troublemaker.
Oh
She's
yeah.
that's karma reincarnated, boy.
Yeah. I got 3 of those too. I got 2 and 1 on the way. I got an 18-year-old daughter. She just turned 18, so I got 5 kids in total. 1 on the way. So yeah. So when we moved up to Palmdale, I was like, you know, 10, 11 years old. I'm running the streets because I got a lot of cousins that were gang members. So some of them were up there, and yeah, I just fell into the streets pretty much at a real young age because I didn't want to be at home. I was always running away, staying like a week at my friends and my homies' houses and shit, and just getting in trouble. I started at juvenile hall shit. You know, I've done juvenile hall I started juvenile hall when I was like 13. I've done all the juvenile camps in LA County. I've been to all the juvenile halls in LA County. Uh, yeah, I was a fucking little shithead. And yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna fucking deny it. I was a little fucking shithead. So and that you know what that did? I just ended up going to prison. So after I got out of a lockdown group home, well, no, I got out of a regular group home when I was 18. They let me go because it was this nice lady named Miss Judy. She was cool. She seen that I had been in nothing but like juvenile camps and lockdown group homes and nothing was working. And this group home, the lady came and interviewed me. It was a regular house. Like, you know, I wasn't used to that. I was used to big hospitals turned into like lockdown facilities for kids my age that didn't want to fucking listen to anybody, you know. And she gave me a chance, and I stayed there for a couple of years, and I did good. It was in Chatsworth, California, but they had to let me go because I turned 18. And when I turned 18, I went back home and I was running amok. Yeah, I started hanging out with the same people I was, you know, I grew up with, and you know, little dumb shit like theft and all of that shit, and you know, assaults turned into home invasions, like full scale home invasions, like you know, armed robberies and shit. And just because I didn't want to get a fucking job,
Nobody
because
wants.
I didn't want to
Hey,
get.
my wife and I bitch about that all the time now. It's that new age mentality. Everybody will,
Mhm.
the kids will work harder to not work 40 hours a week and not realize they're still working like 60 hours a week and doing dumb.
Man, and look, and taking a penitentiary risk too. And you know, I
Right.
just it wasn't really. I didn't want to work. It was just I mean, I had been doing it for years, so I was kind of like, it was a rush for me, and it was also a peer pressure thing. Like my homies were doing it, so you know, I didn't want to be like, no, I'm not gonna do that, you know. So yeah,
That was so it's funny you said home invasions and burglaries and shit like that. So what I went down for was burglary, and I never did any shit while anybody was home. Not that it's by any means any fucking better, but
yes,
you still go down smoking for an F2 out this way, either one or the other. But yeah, man, after I started doing it, like you just mentioned that rush, and I mean, I was a drug addict, dude. I wasn't like running around. I mean, I was running around with a lot of dumbasses, but I was a
yeah,
fucking full blown heroin addict. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that topped with like the adrenaline on top of it of running up into somebody's house, that's addictive in itself, man.
oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Not knowing what you're gonna find, and even
treasure
like,
hunting.
yeah, really, like it's, you know, I look back at it now like I was a straight piece of shit, but
Me
but hey,
too.
sometimes, yeah, but it wasn't for lack of my parents trying. You know, I was brought up in the best household that I could be brought up in. Like they
Yeah.
definitely fucking tried. You know, to the point where my mom was telling the juvenile system to put him in jail. He needs to learn a lesson. You know, like, and it was just me. It was just some people are just rebellious and fuck that. I'm gonna do what I want to do, regardless
Yeah.
of the consequences. And I had to learn. So you know, then I was in and out of prison. You know, from 19, just turned 19 in I was in and out of prison. My first time going to prison, they offered me man, I could have did 2 years, but I was fucking listening to jailhouse lawyers and shit. No, don't take that. This is your first time as an adult
No.
and all of that bullshit. Man, I ended up with 4 years. So yeah, I ended up doing 4 years. They gave me 4 years with half. But I was once again, I was still in that mindset like I'm going into prison and I'm gonna be one of the most turned up motherfuckers I can be. So I went in there and I ended up doing damn near 4 years when I could have just did 2 because I'm getting caught with weapons. I'm getting caught with Pruno. I'm disrespecting staff. I'm assaulting staff. All of that type of shit. And yeah, so I almost did 4 years pretty much on that, and then I got out the whole parole thing. That's just a recidivism fucking in the
So,
making. Like that parole shit is.
oh, it is, and that's part of the reason that I wanted to do this because I people don't understand people don't understand how everything is just stacked against you from the second like you it's harder the second you step out than it is while you're in there. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you've got like there's like it's not the environment you want to live in, but most of society doesn't understand. Like last night, I've got buddies that are trying to get housing right now, and they're calling me like looking for like resources, things like that. And I called a real estate agent that I know looking for like a second chance, like real estate agent, somebody that finds housing for felons. This chick's been
Yeah.
in the real estate game for 40 years. And she's like, what's that? She's like, I've never heard of that. So people don't understand like how hard it is once guys get out, and you're getting out at 19. I got another buddy that I did another episode with. He was out at 25. He went in when he was 18.
No, I got
And
out when I was 20, almost 24.
yeah. And so people don't understand like from you went from being a kid and now you're a full-blown adult and you have no life skills. All you know is the streets. And there's no reform in jail. It's we're going to throw you in a box. You're going to fend for yourself for the next 4 years, and then good luck when you get out. But hey, we'll keep the light on for you. Some Motel 6 type shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So okay, so what facilities were you like? What prisons and facilities were you in when you went in? And I'm assuming you went in for what, home invasion and
Yeah, I had like four 459s, which is just regular burglaries, home like house burglaries, and then I had maybe like 6 home invasions. And so I went in with that. They cut me slack actually. I should have did a whole lot more because after 2 years after I got locked up for all of that shit in California, they made home invasions life sentences. So I got really fucking lucky.
oh shit.
Yeah, so I got really fucking lucky. So I started out in Delano, which pretty much everybody does. If you in Southern California, the reception center they send you to is Delano. And then the first prison I went to was Pleasant Valley before it turned all SNY or all PC, which was a 3-yard because I had level 3 points because of my juvenile history and all of that shit.
Yeah.
And like I said, I went in there fucking up. I did a shoe program of a year for attempted stabbing of a CO, which was I just had a knife on me.
So real quick, because none of the guys that I've had on here so far have mentioned or been in shoe programs. So explain. I mean, I know what it is, but explain to everybody what the shoe program is.
It's a security housing unit. It's a jail within a jail is all it is.
Yeah.
It's you don't have any freedom. Pretty much when you're on a regular yard, you get to go out the yard all throughout the day. Well, the yard and shoes are you're pretty much in your cell all day, every day. You get one shower every 72 hours, and you get to on the odd days of the shower, every 72 days you get to go to yard for like, depending. Sometimes it's 3 hours, sometimes it's 6 hours, and it's just literally a fucking dog cage. It's like a dog kennel. If you were to take a overhead look at it, it just looked like a bunch of dog kennels lined up with fucking inmates walking back and forth with a toilet. And so I was in there, and I did a year for that for I got into it with a CO, and he started talking shit, and I was talking shit, and I kind of puffed up at him, and I was doing dumb shit because I was surrounded by my my homies and shit, so I didn't want to look like a bitch. So man, my stupid ass forgot that I had a fucking piece of metal on me, so they bumped it up to attempted stabbing, even though I never reached for it or none of that. But yeah, I did a shoot for that. Then I got out, and they bumped me up to level 4 points, and then I went to where the fuck did I go? They sent me to Corcoran for transfer. I was there for like a month, and then I went to damn, where did I go after that? I went to Calipat. I went to Calipatria, which is a level 4 in by Blythe, California, Southern California, pretty much bottom of California. And yeah, that was that prison was always rocking and rolling. It was mainly between the Southsiders and the COs because they were
Yeah.
fucking killing each other back and forth. So, you know, the Crip car who I ran with, we didn't really have to fuck with them, or we just stayed out of the way. But we was always on lockdown. So yeah, I was in Calipatria, and then I paroled from Calipatria at about 23 and a half, almost something like that, 23, somewhere around there. Yeah, I was on parole. So I paroled back to the same shit that I was in, LA County, and hanging out with the same people. Cause at that point I hadn't had enough. I still thought, you know, I'm getting out of level 4 prisons and shit. Like, you know, motherfuckers looked up to me a little bit. So yeah, I still thought that I had to keep
That
that out,
street
you
cred's a
know.
motherfucker,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it is like a motherfucker. Don't even, man, look, that shit is a bunch of bullshit too. But back then, you know, I was young and dumb and stupid, and you know, I thought that's what I thought that's all I was gonna amount to at that time, at that point in time. Because, like you said, I didn't get out with no resources. I didn't know shit. You know, I wasn't at one of those prisons where I was at one of those prisons where all prisons have trades where you can learn some shit and take it to the streets. But the prisons I was at, I was on level 4 prisons that weren't they weren't bullshit. So we were always locked down, so we couldn't go to fucking class and learn
So,
anything.
so I mean, I'm from Ohio. You're talking California. I'm assuming your level 4s are like the 23 and 1. You're in 23, you're out an hour a day,
It's
right?
no. It's maximum security prisons. That's it. They don't the
Okay.
only 23 and 1 type shit is when we're on lockdown or when
Okay.
you're in the shoe. But even when you're on lockdown on the yard, it's not 23 and 1. It's one shower every 72 hours. So you're
Yeah.
in your cell 24 hours a day for 2 days, you know, until you get to walk 50 feet to the shower to take a shower, you know what I mean? And then back to your cell for the same program. It's literally 24-hour lockdown for months at a time. We would be on lockdown from anywhere from 3 months to a year, you know,
Yeah.
or more, depending on if somebody got killed and shit. So yeah, it was no joke. It was bullshit. But at that point in
So,
time, I thought that was the coolest shit. So
well, you're young, you don't know any better.
yeah,
And that street cred's a motherfucker, man. Like you get
yeah,
out,
it
you
is.
got like the little homies that are looking up to you, and like you got the other like dudes in the streets that they're like, oh, that's here comes Kev. Like that
Yeah,
dude don't play. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. That's what I was all about.
so okay.
So
So you get out when you're what, 24, 25, and
20,
then you still
23.
23, you still had
Yeah.
runs left in you. So what was the next charge that sent you back, or was it a PV, or what happened?
From that point, I think it was just my first violation was I got, you know, those little souvenir baseball bats
Yeah.
like you get from a game, like Dodgers game, Angels game, whatever. They're like little tiny tire thumpers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was moving from my homegirl's house to a guy's house. It's kind of like my uncle. He got me jobs and shit working construction. So I had all of my shit in my car, and it was just a souvenir bat that I had from a Dodger game that I acquired. I wasn't doing nothing with it. It was just it would be sitting up on my fucking dresser or some shit. I had it in my trunk. So I'm sitting on the street 2 a.m. in the morning, right down the street from the Palmdale Sheriff Station. And if I'm facing away from it so I could look in my side view mirror and see the gate to where they come out and start their patrol. I seen the gate open, and I'm waiting for him to get home. I seen the gate open, and he could either make a left or right or go straight. This is a bad area in Palmdale too. So he picks straight, decides to go down the neighborhood instead of hit the highway or something. And I'm in my car, and I said, fuck. And I started sliding down like that. Like, damn, I hope this fool don't see me. But he's driving down the street like 5 miles an hour. He got a spotlight, and he's hitting every, you know, crack and crevice between the houses, the cars. I said, I know he's gonna see me as soon as this shit hits my car windows. I know. So he saw me, and he stops, and he comes to the door, and he probation. Yeah, I'm on parole. So he's like, all right, cool. Step out. He patted me down. He cuffed me. He said, look, man, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm just gonna search your car. If there's nothing in there that you shouldn't have, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I said, cool. I'm just moving. There's nothing in my car. I don't got shit to worry about. And then I thought, I'm like, fuck. I had a fucking flip open razor blade, like we use for construction shit, in the cup holder right here next to me. I thought that was gonna do it. And I told him, I said, there's a razor blade in there that I use for my work. and whatnot. I got a few other tools in there. He said, "Oh man, don't worry about that. See if you don't got no, drugs or nothing, no weapons, none of that. You ain't got no problem." So he searches the car, goes to the back, pulls out all the shit that's in the trunk, clothes, boxes of shit, and he finds his bat. And he comes back and he gets in his car, and I'm in the back cuffed. And he says, "So, what's up with this bat?" I said, "What do you mean, what's up with it? I got it from a baseball game. It's a souvenir." He said, "No, this is a weapon on parole." I said, "You gotta be fucking bullshitting me, man." He said, "Nope, I'm not bullshitting you at all." So he says, "So look here." He says, "You know anybody around here that sells drugs or,
Oh,
sells
dude.
weapons or anything?" I said, "Man, what?" He said, I didn't stutter. He said, "Do you know anybody around here that sells drugs?" I said, "You want me to tell on somebody for my freedom?" He said, "Yep." I said, "Man, take me to fucking jail." He said, "All right." That's exactly what the motherfucker did too. He took me. He started his shift. 5 minutes later, he had an arrest. He flipped a bitch and went right back through the gate that I saw him pull out of, and I did a year flat for that in Lancaster State Prison. Yep, I did a year flat for that, and so I did a year in that, and I got out, and I would just what did I do? I got out a year after that, and I got into a fight. Call the cops over a parking spot. Call the cops. I get fucking 2 years for that. And I would get out, do a violation, because I will get nothing but mainly violations. So I did another year and a half violation. It was supposed to be a year, but I kept getting in trouble as usual. So I did almost 2 years on that, and I got out. Decided to hit another house again. I got 2 years on that, 2 years straight on that. They gave me 4 years with half again. So I did 2 years. I did good on that. I got out. I didn't get in too much trouble because at that point in time, I'm like, this is starting to get old now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I got out, and then I got out 2 years of that, and then I was at my mom's house, and my neighbor had I think at this point in time he had to be like maybe 10 or 11. I'm showing him how to shoot a pellet rifle, right? Just as a kid, like, I'm older. He has a pellet gun. He's not using it. I'm trying to show him in an area, in a neighborhood where there's not a lot of traffic. So I'm literally shooting across the street that's about 20 feet wide. Like, it's the length of a fucking highway, 2-lane highway, at a brick wall at a target. And somebody turns the corner and assumes that it's a real gun, right? So they call the cops. I didn't know he called the cops, right? He just did it as he was driving. Next thing I know, I'm out there, I'm right by the car, and I see two sheriffs creeping through because there was like a little wooded area on the corner. I see two sheriffs with fucking rifles creeping through the fucking thing, and I hurry up and drop that shit. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing, right? And they it was pretty much a felony stop. There was like 20 cops hit the corner. They all draw down on me, had me lay down, so on and so forth. And at that point in time, I was selling drugs. I was selling crystal, and I was selling weed. I was selling kush too. So I'm more worried. I forgot about the damn eighth I had in crystal on my pocket because I'm so worried about them not shooting me because I
Right.
had this fucking thing in my hand, right? So they cuffed me up, and it was in my sock actually. And they do a bullshit pat down on me and throw me in the car, and it's still in my sock in the fucking car. And they get out, or they realize that it's just a fucking pellet gun. They start laughing. They come back to the car. They're like, "All right, man." They're like, "We're just gonna pat you down again." And they were gonna take me to jail for some bullshit, like a bullshit parole violation that I was gonna get COP down on out on parole like the next day or some dumb shit. So they had to do an actual pat down, an actual search. They find the shit. The guy says, "Well, look what we got here," right? I said, "Oh, fuck." And I was in that motherfucker sweating the whole time because, they turned the heat up on me and all types of shit. So I'm in there sweating because I'm nervous because I'm thinking that they probably gonna find this, and then they got the heat up. They get out, they find it. I end up doing 32 with 80% with that. So that was just a little bit over 2 years I had to go back and do for that. So I do that. I managed to stay pretty much out of trouble. I did like 2.5 years. I get out, and my next case was My next case was what was it? Oh, I was living in Victorville, which is like the same distance away, about an hour away from San Bernardino, not LA County, San Bernardino County. And I had some pellet rifles in the house, and this is when I was tattooing. I had stopped selling drugs. I had stopped doing all of that shit because I was, like I said, I was fed up with, with going in and out of prison and shit. So one of my friends was laying under my garage, and I didn't know he was doing this because I was in the house cooking breakfast for my kids and shit. And he was shooting at a target across the street with the garage door cracked this far from the ground. Once again, me and pellet guns just don't get it. It's just bad, right? Somebody calls and sees, and they think that this fool has a real fucking rifle shooting at a can from across the street. I always shot shit in my backyard. I wouldn't be doing no dumb shit like that. But like I said, I was in the house cooking breakfast for my kids. So once again, felony stop type shit. Cops swarm the fucking house. I hear a boom, boom, boom on the garage because we're still in the garage. This is after I'd fed him and all that. Came back out about 10 minutes later. I hear boom, boom, boom on my garage. And I hear police. And I say, oh, fuck. And I look at him like, what the fuck did you do? Like, what the fuck? Why do we have cops at my garage door right now? So I had a paint can because the garage didn't work. So I had a paint can holding the garage from slamming all the way shut. The cop takes the door and just whacks it all the way open. And, no. My bad. I had told him, I said, look, don't open the garage door, right? Because that's just going to invite them in. I said, slide out under the door. So he got on his stomach and he slithered out under the door. I did the same thing, thinking that they were going to do their job as they should and not just open the fucking door, right? Well, we got out. They cuffed us up, didn't ask us shit. The dude took his hand, racked open the garage door. They put us in the fucking, the cars. And they go through my house like they had a right to, right? They go through my house like they had a right, like they had a warrant. And I didn't understand, like I know the law like I know the law now regarding First and Fourth Amendment specifically, right? Because I got railroaded on that fucking case. So they rack the door. There's like 20 cops running through the garage, running through my house. They bring my kids out. They bring a potato launcher out. I had made a potato launcher. For people that don't, you know what that is?
Yeah.
It's just a bit for people that don't know it.
I know what a potato launcher is.
Okay, yeah. So for people that don't know, it's just a PVC pipe made to launch potatoes fucking hundreds of yards or whatnot. And there's two different types of ways you can make them. You can make them pneumatic with like air, or you can make them combustible with like Axe deodorant or some type of combustible shit you spray in there and then light it. Well, in California, I tried to stay legit. I tried to make a pneumatic one, right? That ran off an air tank and an air compressor because those aren't illegal. Combustibles are illegal in California. So I made it pneumatically, but when I was making it, I fucked up and made it to where it didn't even shoot. Like I glued the whole fucking, the barrel shut, right? With the fucking pipe glue. So it didn't work at all. And it was just in my garage. They come out with that. And then they keep rummaging around, and I had a 12 gauge, 19-inch sawed off pump shotgun in my house. They also found that. Now, being that I'm a felon, I'm not supposed to have that. But I feel that they do a lot of felons wrong. I feel that me personally, I feel that all felons shouldn't lose their right to carry a firearm. I personally feel that the only people that should lose their right to carry a firearm are the ones that commit crimes with firearms.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if I have no violence in my history with firearms against people, I don't feel that we should lose that right.
Right.
Especially if you're just going to prison for felonies that aren't nonviolent. You know what I mean? It's just, I feel that that's wrong. But anyways, nonetheless, they catch that. I go to prison. I go to jail for both of those. And I did like five with 80 on that. So, I did almost 4 years on that. And but while I was in jail, after I got sentenced, I started thinking like, I think that shit was fucking illegal, man. Like you can't just run in somebody's house like that over a fucking anonymous call. And come to find out, I was right. You got to have exigent circumstance. They have to have exigent circumstances, right? Or they have to have a fucking warrant, no matter what anybody calls. And the only person that can justify that is a credible informant that is registered with the police department for giving credible tips on shit, not just some random person, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't just be like, yo, this guy has a gun, and next thing I know, there's 20 cops running through your house. That's illegal. But that's what they did to me, right? But I didn't know, and I had to take the deal because I didn't know all of the shit that I know now legally. So I took the deal. I got fucked on that. I could have got out if I, know my rights. But so I did that, and then I got two uncles that are truck drivers, and they were telling me for years, like, yo, you should get your CDL, man. Go to jail, get your CDL, study for that shit in there. You have nothing else to do, right? Study for your CDL in there, and get out and be a truck driver, man. And I didn't do it how they said do it. I got the book mailed to me and whatnot, and I studied it here and there. But it's still, prison is, if you're not a punk or a bitch, prison is fun. It sounds stupid, right? But if you're used to that life, right, it's just boring, and you ain't getting you can't get no pussy, and
Right.
you're not around your family and friends. But other than that, once you're settled in, I mean, the shit flies by like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough when the facility that I went to, I knew a lot of guys from my hometown down there, and so I mean, they were all set up. They were already doing their time down there, so it wasn't. It's obviously, I mean, you get comfortable because you adapt to your environment. But you're right, man. It's a lot of there's a lot of wild shit that went on where I was at. But as long as you know to stay in your own lane and you know how to conduct yourself and act right, and you just do your time and you fucking go home. But so at what point? So at what point did the light finally fucking turn on and you're like, hey, this ain't for me anymore? Like, this isn't. And what was your motivation to just stop doing everything?
The prison term I did before getting caught with that shotgun, the one where I got caught with the dope.
Yeah.
When I got half my way through that prison, I was just laying in bed one day in my bunk, and I just staring at the fucking roof, like, and this was in Blythe too, so it's hot as fuck, dude. And that prison gets 130 degrees with like 90% humidity, and in the cells it just fucking cooks you. Like concrete, for people that don't know, that shit, whether it's hot or cold, it just makes whatever it is fucking 50 times worse. Yeah. Right? And I'm sitting in there sweating because my fan broke, and we were on lockdown, and I'm just staring at the wall like, yo, this is something's got to fucking change, dude, because this ain't working. I'm fucking done. Like, I can't do this shit no more. And I'm thinking about my kids, because my kids are starting to get older. Like, the oldest one at that point was like 11 or something like that. And I was just like, yo, I can't keep coming in and out of fucking prison. Like, how the fuck are my kids gonna look at me once they start understanding what the fuck it is I'm doing, and constantly in and out? I'm gonna be a piece of shit in their eyes, and I can't do that. And then I got out, and that's when it clicked. That's when I was like, I was done with anything illegal besides having that shotgun to protect my household if anything were to happen. It's not like I'm running around. I wasn't running around the streets with guns and shit. You know what I mean? It was just in my house if I needed it. Who the fuck would have thought that one of my friends would be playing with a fucking pellet rifle, get caught, and then now I got cops finding it? Like, it's just, that was unforeseen. You know what I mean? And that was just some bullshit right there, because I was already done at that point. But when I went to jail for that and did years for that, I was just in there with a whole new mindset. Like, yo, I'm not fucking with none of y'all. Like, y'all can kiss my motherfucking ass. I'm over here doing my shit myself. I don't need nothing from nobody. I'm working out. I'm in my cell all day. If not, I'm finding some old dude and I'm playing dominoes with him at the tables. I'm staying out of every bullshit. I'm going home to my kids, period, point blank, and I don't give a fuck. And that's what happened. So like I said, before that last term I did, and then when I did that extra term after the term that made me say fuck this shit, it really solidified like, yo, I'm never going to prison again. Like, you know what I mean? So it was after that.
Oh man, the kids, that's one of the common denominators. So, a lot of guys that I've talked to, it's they finally, because my kids were little when I was locked up, like, but then my son was getting older, and it's those kids will do it to you, man. So what? So at what point how old were you when you got out? And then did you go get your CDL immediately when you got out?
Well, I got out after that last prison term, and I was trying to find funding to like get a trade, right? I wasn't set on truck driving yet. You know, I got some masonry background also. Like I was a brick mason for a couple years too. So it was either go back to doing that or truck. And I was just like, you know, I kind of want to do something new. So I found this damn, what do they call this? It's like a EDD, an employment development something, right? That helps people, whether you've been to prison or not, just down on your luck, and you need a government program to help you find a trade while you're on the outs. It has nothing to do with parole or none of that. I went completely outside of that after I got on parole and probation, because they don't really help you at all. Like the shit they send you to is bullshit. So I found the EDD program. They said, okay, we can fund these are the things that we offer. There was a list of shit. Truck driving was on them. I'm like, yo, I want to do truck driving. They're like, okay, well, we need you to come back, do another meeting, sit through another thing. So they had me jump through. Oh, they were like, oh, we don't have the funding for that now. You're gonna have to wait about 7-8 months for the funding, the fiscal year to come around. And within that wait, we're gonna have you come back for orientations, do this, do that. So they wanted to know if I was serious in changing my life around and actually following through with this, because they sent me through a whole bunch of bullshit classes I had to sit hours through, and a bunch of stuff they kept calling me back for, because my car got impounded. So I had to keep taking the bus back and forth to this place, you know, and they just wanted to know if I was fucking serious. And at that point in time, I was fucking serious. So everything they told me to fucking do, I did on time to the T, no questions asked. And they saw that and they were like, okay, boom, we see you're serious. So we're gonna grant you $5,000 to go to a trucking school, right? So, and this is in Victorville, and they were like, all you got to do now is find a trucking school you want to go to. There's a list of a few of them in the area, and we will fund you a little bit of gas money. I think it was like $100 a week or something like that for gas too, and we'll pay for it. So I had to go down to Palmdale because there was one in Lancaster. I had to go to the one in Lancaster. Signed up for that. They took the funding. And my stepdad, he let me use his Mercedes and shit so I could go back and forth from Victorville, from home to Lancaster for school. And they said the average time of, you know, graduation for the trucking school at that school was about a month and a half. I was so serious and wanting to finish that shit quickly. I did it in 26 days, 26 actual days. Like everybody went to school, went to class there every day pretty much. I didn't have the luxury of doing that because I lived an hour away. So I would go maybe 2-3 times a week, and I would soak up as much as I fucking could with those days. And as long as I stayed there for those 2-3 days a week, and it came out to, it was like a month and a half time, but it was 26 actual days that it took me to obtain my CDL. And they said I was the second person to ever get the CDL there the fastest out of all the years that they've been in operation. That's because I was serious, dude. I the shit that wasn't working, dude. I needed something to work for me.
Yeah, and there's, dude, when it comes down to it, when that light finally clicks, and you're like, you know, I've fucking had enough. I'm tired of going through this shit. There's one word that just always sticks out to me, and it's action. And you know, like the people giving you the funding for the CDL, like they wanted to see action. Like your kids probably at that point, they were like, they're tired of hearing, yeah, I'm going to come home and I'm going to stay out. They want to see action. You know what I mean? And I mean, you took action. Probably your stepdad at that point, he didn't want to loan his fucking car to you, but you take action and you make moves and you show everybody, and then over time, shit starts getting better for you. So
yeah, he saw it. He saw before he loaned his car to me. He saw I was serious because he saw that he knew what I was doing to get that funding, and he's like, damn, he got the funding. They approved him. Okay, damn. Well, he lives out there, but I'm gonna let him use my car. He saw right then and there I was serious, and something had snapped, something had changed in me, and yeah.
No, so I mean, and I preach that to people all the time as well too, because you know you have to understand coming out of prison, whether it be with a job, a landlord, your family, your kids, whoever it is, all anybody wants to see is action. They don't give a fuck about this because you've been doing this for your entire fucking life. So
Yeah.
once you start taking action and making moves, and they see some progress and they see you're determined and you're willing to actually make a change, things will start kind of falling in line for you, you know?
Yeah.
So so you get into truck driving. How long have you been driving for?
6 years.
6 years. So and you
Yeah.
do a lot of flatbed, right?
Yeah, I did 2 years like reefer just to get my experience at a solid company for 2 solid years. And then I took off flatbedding and I've been to quite a few different flatbed companies just to gain my experience. Cause I was like, yo, if I want to do truck driving, I want to do, the big shit.
Yeah.
I want to do oversized and heavy haul and shit. And that was like my goal from the very start. And that's what I do now. So I went to my first beginner flatbed company, did like a year and a half with them. And I went to, another company after that, and then another company after that. But each company I went to always paid more and was better
Yeah.
than the last. And yeah, so now pretty much mainly what I do is oversized. Like JK Hackle is pretty much just an oversized specialty company. Uh, hold on, truck entry. All right, cool. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I do now. Pretty much oversized,
So
specialty
I saw
flatbed shit, step deck.
I saw a video, and I'm sure it was you, but I don't know if it was a repost or something that you did. Did you deliver to a military base where they unloaded you with a helicopter?
Oh, dude, that you got by that? That was a fucking a filter, bro. That was a filter. That
Oh,
wasn't a real helicopter.
I know this dude's been to prison and they're trusting him with military loads. What the fuck is going
Nah,
on
yeah.
right here?
No, I will though in a little bit because if you get your you can get your TWIC card, and TWIC cards are accepted at 98% of military bases because that's
Yeah.
a TSA federal background right there. They TSA federally background check you to get a TWIC card. So if you get a TWIC card, you can get on military bases, no fucking problem.
Yeah, my company, I got a TWIC card. I was kind of sketched out about the background, but I passed the background. So I got my TWIC card. It was about 8 months ago, but we don't ever. I run fucking tanker. There ain't nothing in tanks that we're pulling out of ports, dude.
No.
But okay. Excuse me. So this is something that I wanted you to talk about a little bit because I've talked about it, but it's more so just for guys that are looking to getting into truck driving because they have felonies and they're looking for an option where they can make really good money. They're used to those circumstances, things like that. Would you recommend getting into truck driving? I mean, aside from all the industry bullshit, what are your thoughts and how, like, what advice would you have to give to guys that are maybe coming out with felonies or coming out of prison?
I would say truck driving is the number one thing that I would advise, because like you said already, like we're used to tiny confined spaces, and this truck is just like a way 10 times more comfortable prison cell. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Because we can eat whatever we want, we can leave whenever we want, you can hook it up however you want. Like, I play fucking Call of Duty and Warzone in here with my big ass flat screen every day, all day. Like, I am completely at home, comfortable in this fucking tiny ass box, right?
Yeah.
And it's because prison has conditioned me to living in small confined spaces like this. I have no problem being out here. If I could be out here years at a time, I would. But I got to go home to my family and shit every so often. Like, I usually stay out a month and a half, sometimes two. But yeah, so I would definitely advise truck driving, especially when you get with the right companies that don't micromanage you, that leave you the fuck alone, that don't stress you the fuck out, and you're just out here by yourself. Fuck yeah. Without a doubt, I would. I love this shit.
I took a desk job when I came home in sales and shit like that. And I worked my way up through the company and I fucking hated every minute of it. And I remember laying in my bunk at night and being like, when I get out, I'm just going to get my fucking CDL. I'm going to drive semi. Like that thought had already started back in the day when I was locked up, because I was like, why the fuck not? Like, I'm already dealing with I'm already by myself all day long for the most part. I'm used to small confined spaces and shit. Like, why not?
Yeah.
It took me about 10 years after I got out to finally go and get my CDL. But now at this point, I look at it like, why the fuck wouldn't you? Like, there's not one company that I really can name off the top of my head that's going to look at your felonies. And it's a great living. You make a great living. You make a great wage. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to make that money anywhere else as a felon. So I recommend it to everybody. I always push guys to go get their CDL. So
yeah, I've never had a company really stress about my background at all. The first company I went to, like that took me straight out of school, was called May Trucking. You probably might have seen them. They're fucking everywhere, but May Trucking out of Oregon. And they asked me about it, and they said the only things that we care about is you know, if you've been to prison for murder or any of that, you know, child weirdo shit. So and you know, I was good on both of those. So they took me with no fucking problem. And any other company after that, they haven't even brought it up. They want to know my driving record, my experience, and they say, come on, let's go.
Yeah. Hey, and luckily, hey, my driving record's the one clean record I got, boys. So.
Yeah, really. My record, hey, my driving record's spotless.
So, all right, man, let's talk about your TikTok. What I know you and I talked a little bit about it, but so before I started recording, but I think you and I are pretty similar. Like we both hopped on there to kind of like make fun of and do shit with our daughters and some like family time shit. And then it just kind of turned into trucker talk. And for those of you that don't know, you know, you have your regular TikTok, but then once you kind of get into the realm of truck driving and you start following other truck drivers, then your entire feed is just, it's trucker talk. And like I told everybody, this is kind of where I met you at. I started following you. You make some pretty fucking cool videos. You make some funny shit. So go ahead and talk about what got you onto trucker talk. And
I don't know, man. I just, at first I didn't really at first I just wanted to do funny shit, but then I realized like, yo, like I should probably make majority of the shit that I do about what I do, driving trucks, or you know, the funny shit that I see out here, or make a funny you know, voiceover and then add it to something that we do or see or experience out here. And it just started, I guess, going a little nuts on trucker talk. I don't know, but I mean, I really feel like there's nothing really else to do. I mean, this is what I do 24/7. So why not make a majority of my TikTok about what I do? So
well, and like we were talking about before, it passes the time, man. Like I always, I'll be sitting waiting to get loaded or unloaded or whatever, and I'll be like you said, something stupid that I saw at the truck stop the night before will pop in my mind, or I'll be pissed off about something I just saw, and I'll be like, "Oh fuck it, you know, pass the time." So no, that's cool, man. So you've got what at this point? I think you got around. I checked it before I got on here. I think you're at like 54,000 followers. That's a pretty big following, dude.
52.
52.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. So
52.
All right,
it's been kind of like slow lately. Like, you know, I've been stuck at 52 for a while, but you know, every now and then I'll post some shit, or I'll just wake up with like 1,200 extra followers or some shit. But it's been slower lately, so I think I got.
TikTok's weird, man, and they're weird about the times you post shit. Like there's times where I'm like, oh, this is a banger, like this is gonna go off, and then it'll get like 3 views, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'll post something completely fucking stupid, and it'll get like
shit.
Yeah.
It's weird like that. And plus, like I think I personally think that I'm shadow banned every now and then, or I don't know if it's permanently or just certain shit, because you know I post a lot of, because you know I'm a Republican, so I used to be a fucking huge Democrat, right? Like not really, but I was Democrat minded. You know what I mean? Before I turned my life around, I was like, yo, something's got to change, and it's got to be my thinking and the people I hang out with. And so I post a lot of, you know, Republican shit or Trump shit, and I think that fucking hinders me from getting a lot more views that I normally would get, because TikTok doesn't like that shit.
No. So. Oh, none of the platforms like that. The second you pro Trump, and they can prove it, your shit's getting flagged. So well, what advice?
You know, you can be pro BLM and all of that, and they'll let that shit fly. They'll let that shit fly, and you know they'll give that shit 1 billion views. It's like fucking nuts. But hey, that's how the shit is. So
that's the world we live in, man. So what advice do you have for any guys that are getting out? I mean, you've seemed to have made. I mean, you're happy doing what you're doing. It seemed like you're living a pretty good life now. You're on the up and up. So what advice do you have for guys that are maybe getting out here recently or shortly or soon? Or
I would say if they have the money to put themselves straight into truck school, I would say use that shit because you're gonna get it back pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, because I have a lot of homies too that I've tried to get in. Some of them that I still talk to from like my childhood and my younger days and shit that are that I that I see are trying to go a different path route, and they've been asking me like, "Yo, I need help. How do you do that? How you do this shit?" Like some of them are serious, some of them aren't. Some of them are serious. Some of them turn to not being so serious once they find out all of the shit and the steps that they have to go through and the work that they have to put in. They think it's just gonna come to them like that and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if you have the money, I would say go straight to truck school. You know, $4,000, $5,000, you get it back pretty quick. If you don't have the money, I guarantee you, there is in your area, there is like an employment office or some type of program to help people or train people in trades that will put you through a little bit of work or whatnot. Some of them might not, but most of them they have you go through some orientations and shit, and they will fund that for you, like it was for me. I didn't have to pay for nothing. They said the only time I have to pay for anything is if I fail it or I don't complete it. Then I have to pay everything back. But I completed it.
Well,
so yeah,
just so everybody knows too, and on the website that I have, there's a link for government like grant funding for felons.
Yeah.
So there's just anybody listening to this, another avenue would obviously be hop on the website or just type in government grants for felons. They allocate X amount of money, X amount of funding every year for just things just like this. You know, you're coming out of prison, you don't have any skills, you want to go to truck driving school. I don't know how much they give you. It's a lot of paperwork, but you know, if you're serious about it, you'll make it happen. So
oh yeah, the paperwork was up, man. That was the worst part. All the fucking paperwork, all the filling out shit I had to do. You know, but like I said, if you're serious, you won't give a fuck. But it was a pain in the ass nonetheless. But I completed it. So there's also, you know, you can also go to like certain trucking companies like Swift, CR England. They will train you for free. They'll say, "Come on, you don't have a license? Come on, we'll train you." But you have to sign 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have to sign like a 6-month to like a year, pretty much contract with them after they get you your CDL to pretty much pay them back. Which is, hey, if you're serious and you want to change your life around and you want to get this industry, I wouldn't give a fuck. I would do it.
Right. No, and I mean, I'll tell you the very first trucking company I worked for, it was all driving, and I had gotten my CDL. I paid for it, went and got it when I decided to go. And but because I didn't have any experience, they had their own truck driving school. So it's a local company. They're called J-Rail, but they hired me, put me through like a finishing school, and then I was in with like a bunch of their other students. But yeah, it's the same thing. There's a lot of I know Swift will do it, Werner does it. Those are like some of the mega carriers. Not that I'm telling you to go work for a fucking mega, but hey,
hey, if that's where you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I got in there with all these guys, and they're all getting their CDLs, and it's tough, man. Those companies that put you through that school, like if you're not making progress, they boot you the fuck out. So if you're not serious, don't be tied up in there. But it's a good those are good companies to work for because they will get you your CDL. You don't have to have experience. They got lots they can train you in. And you know, you get your CDL, you work for them for 6. I luckily didn't have to work for them for any extended period of time. I got 3 months of experience under my belt with them because they also don't pay you that great, but hey, it's experience. And then I went and started running tanker and actually making decent money. So yeah, man, those companies are out there. You just have to look. But again, there is government funding. There's grants out there available for anybody that, even if it's not truck driving, even if you want to go in and get into the carpenters union or some shit like that, just to get your training. So check that stuff out. Kev, is there anything else that you want to tell anybody before you hop off here? What's your tell everybody what your TikTok handle is and where else they can find you.
It's Kev_the_trucker. That's my TikTok. That's pretty much the only social media I use.
Okay.
I got Facebook and shit, but I really don't be on it that much.
Right on.
I stick to TikTok. You know, I don't know, man. TikTok has became addicting over the years. So.
Well, you're obviously good at it. I mean, like I said, 54,000. That's a pretty significant, especially on Trucker Talk, man. That's why. I mean, there's not a whole lot of dudes that make big impressions on TikTok like that. So keep doing what you're doing.
A few truck drivers.
So, but no, man, keep doing what you're doing. I love all your content, man. I love all your shit. I'll stay in touch with you. I'll throw your TikTok up on the page for anybody that wants to follow you. And maybe with some contact info if anybody has questions about getting into the trucking industry. If you're open to talking to them, and we'll go from there,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, just you can tell them hit me up on TikTok. I pretty much accept. I mean, my shit's open for I don't have to accept anybody, but just
Yeah.
tell them send me a message on there, and if they got any questions, man, I help if I can.
Cool, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. This was super cool of you to do. And stay
Man.
safe out there, brother. And I'll be in touch with you. We'll
Cool.
stay in touch. So I'll talk to you later. Everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flip side.